Hi guys, this is Greg at Best Choice Trailers. Today I want to take you for a walk around a Golden by Corn Pro 6x10, 90 pound Deckover dump trailer. Deckover dump trailers aren't quite as common as the Low Pro, but they are a trailer that we get through quite a few of, and they make sense for a handful of users that have certain restrictions on where they're able to load and what they're looking to use it for. So let's take a walk around the trailer, show you some of the features on it, and again, show you some of the things that differentiate a Deckover from a Low Pro. Pretty much everything you see on this trailer is standard equipment. We did go with gray on the paint instead of the traditional black. Corn Pro does do white wheel standard. We also have different colors in that in stock. So first and foremost, get into a Deckover dump. So a Deckover dump pretty much is what the name implies. The deck is over the entire wheel assemblies. It narrows the trailer down for a lot of folks that are doing light construction work and whatnot in city streets. Certainly makes it nice. This trailer's got a 6 foot wide by 10 foot long box. So 6 on the width, 10 on the length. But you can see here, this trailer, other than the top rail and stake pockets, isn't a whole lot more than 6 foot wide. You're gonna be probably 6'8" roughly overall. Versus on a Low Pro trailer, you got about 9 or 10 inches of fender depending on the manufacturer. So a 6 foot wide Low Pro ends up being about 7.5 or just a little bit more than wide. So you save a good foot. This right here is pretty much about the exact same width as an average vehicle. Normally your lighter duty pickups, your half tons and whatnot, are right around 6 foot, sometimes even a little bit less, sometimes a little more depending. So your mirrors on your truck will stick out actually a little bit beyond the body, same as your stake pockets and top rail. So nice fit if you're going into fairly narrow, tighter places. It's also nice because generally they're just a little bit lighter depending on the manufacturer than your Low Pros. Some manufacturers make your Low Pros more commercial duty, Deckover's more homeowner grade. On Corn Pro, not so much the case. This actually has a lot of the same features as does the Low Pro. So I'll call this kind of a heavy duty Deckover dump. So again, let's take a little bit more of a look around. So one of the things that I'll say make this a little bit heavier, it's got the adjustable coupler up front. Notice it is a cast coupler, not a stamp, making it a little heavier. This also has a Demco. This is actually an easy latch coupler. It'll actually self-latch as you put it down. Pretty neat setup. Of course, your safety chains, jack. This has your toolbox, and I like the little the toolbox mechanism on it. Some use gas shocks, which are good too. This one's nice in that it will not allow you to open the box up past. Some of them will actually allow you to let it fold over, and guys damage them when they put the bed down and aren't careful. This one's a little bit nicer done. Group 24 deep cycle battery. We've got a power up, power down hydraulic pump. Of course, you've got your corded remote. Lockable box. It does have your latch up front. You can put a lock on. Spare tire mount, standard equipment. You also notice this trailer's got pinstriping on it. Lots of tie down points. They've got stake pockets that will allow you to build the sides up, or you can use a J or a flat hook on them for tie downs. Also, lots of tie downs going down the sides. Generally, you'll find Deckovers are also going to be a 16-inch side. This is actually a 20-inch side, so you get a little bit higher side on it. We've also got prep for a tarp kit on the front, D-rings in the bed. And one of the things we like on this trailer as well, this is urethane paint. This has a epoxy primer with a urethane top coat. It's one of the more durable finishes in the industry. Powder coat is good too. It's just you got to have a really good prep job on powder coat. Wet coating, of course, you want a good prep too, but we find it's I guess less important than powder coat. Powder coating, we really find if it's not prepped right, can be very problematic. But this has the DuPont epoxy primer and top coat. Radial tires, standard equipment. Notice this also has mud flaps. A lot of times on Deckovers you won't find mud flaps on them always. This has truck mount lighting, of course, LED lights. It's all rubber grommeted, flexible. If you hit it, it's not going to crack, or less likely to crack. Barn door gate. Some of them just do a single piece gate across the rear. This one's split in the middle, allows you to fold it back to the sides. Notice it's also a one-piece floor. This is 10 gauge. A lot of times they'll go a little bit lighter on Deckovers. And then sometimes I'll seam them together, but this is all one piece. So let's go ahead and put the bed up. So one thing you'll notice, it's got a little bit heavier frame than what we oftentimes see. Normally deckovers like these, a lot of times you're gonna see a 5-inch channel, maybe a 5-inch tube. Now that said, there's not a whole lot in the industry that actually make these 6-wide deckovers. But the few that do, again, commonly I see 5-inch channel and tube. Even occasionally on 5-wide low pro and 6-wide deckovers, we sometimes even see 4-inch tube or channel. This is a 6-inch channel mainframe. And then you also notice, if you're familiar with dumps, a lot of times you're gonna see a 3x30 cylinder. Occasionally little stuff's gonna be even smaller. This is an oversized cylinder. You also notice instead of an 1.25 or 1.5 rod, that's a full 2-inch. A couple other little details we like on the Corn Pros. One, the hinging we tend to find to be heavier than most. Again, cylinder's an oversize. Of course, you've got your safety prop rod if you were servicing the hydraulics. Again, we did say radial tires. You also notice it's a full wrap tongue. Now, one thing that I have not seen on any 6-wide deckovers, and even the heavier duty 14K deckovers, I often don't see this, but they have underframe bed sill runners that basically run front to back. That's going to be made out of box, keep it nice and rigid, keep it from flexing and twisting. You also notice where your cylinder ties in, you've got a heavy tube crossbar going across to keep it from twisting and racking. That's not common on a trailer, again, this size. Then this also has a tubular bed frame. The few 6-wide deckovers in the market generally do not have a bed frame. Traditionally what they'll do, they'll take the sidewall panel down and form it in, so your bed frame's made of nothing more than whatever your sidewall is out of, which a lot of your deckovers are generally going to be a 12 gauge side. I've even seen 14 gauge occasionally. So again, lots of little details here to just make this a little bit more substantial. You also notice these cross members are made from 3-inch structural channel. A lot of times you'll see a formed cross member on the bed cross members. So again, a little bit heavier duty. I'd consider this to be more of our heavy duty 10K dump that we stock. We also have some other, what I'll call lighter duty 10K and 7K deckovers. So this here is a 6 lug, which is a 10K. We also stock some of the 5 lug, which is the 7,000 pound GVW. Again, depends on whether it's a light or heavy duty 7 or 10K. Ballpark, these are gonna run about $1,850 on a lighter duty 7K, up to a heavier duty 10K such as this, gonna be right around $2,500 or so. On a 10K GVW like this, 10K minus 25 empty is gonna give you about 7,500 pound of legal cargo carrying capacity. It's also not gonna count the weight transfer to the tongue. That's generally gonna be about 15% or another 1,500 pounds. Technically, legally, if you got the tow vehicle to do it and you scale it properly on each axle and on the tongue, you can actually carry upward of about 9,000 pounds on this trailer. It's a lot of cargo on a little trailer like this. You do have to be careful on sand and stone and things like that. Generally shouldn't have a problem. One nice part about a deckover is it sits up just a little bit higher than a low pro, so it makes nicer, neater dump piles. Being a little bit taller can also be a problem. If you had something that was very high, let's say a stack of, we deal in tires, let's say a stack of tires that sits up 6, 7, 8 feet, whatnot, it would be a little bit, we'll say, tippy. Or if you had a taller piece of equipment, maybe. But for the average user doing, you know, household tear out stuff, firewood, stone, sand, etc., great trailer, makes nice, neat piles. Less need to pull forward as you go because, again, sits just a little bit higher off the ground. One thing to look for in some of the other manufacturers that do use the undersized cylinders generally get set farther back. They do that because they don't stroke as far. You'll notice how far this strokes, and that allows for a very steep dump angle. Normally, most dumps try to achieve 45, 48, sometimes 50 degrees. Some of your lighter duty ones only get 38 to 40 degrees. Oftentimes, that's not enough to get your sticky wet clay and similar stuff out. Normally, that stuff comes out at about 40 to 42 degrees in my experience. So, again, on a oversized cylinder, what you can do is put less overhang to the rear, which means you get more ground clearance, which means your stuff doesn't pile up quite as much. So again, Really like what Corn Pro does here with the heavy duty hinging. They actually buy these hinges in separate instead of making their own. Just it's a heavy duty cast, just a nice setup, we find. So this is available in different sizes, lengths, GVW. We do stock some of these in 12 foot as well. And again, it is available in the 7000 GVW. Can also get black if you like the traditional black paint. We get a lot of guys that do like the charcoal. Just gives it a little bit different look. If you have any questions on this or any of our other trailers, feel free to give us a ring, 717-220-4220, or you can visit us on the web at bestchoicetrailers.com.